Welcome to the Business with Beers podcast. This is the place where we help entrepreneurs expand their business, build their wealth, and generate passive income. I'm your host, Brian Beers, an entrepreneur who's on a mission to inspire growth from everyone around me. Remember that you need to take the actions others won't, and you can live the life that others don't. Please be sure to check out my weekly newsletter that now drops every Thursday. It includes one quote, one tweet, one podcast recommendation, plus some business and investing insight from me. It's short and it's sweet. My goal is to provide you with just a couple gold nuggets to help inspire your growth. Go to brianbeers.com to subscribe. Hello, everyone. I'm excited today to bring you Adam Geisler, CEO and co-founder of Youth Athletics United and the Soccer Stars franchise. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Brian. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. So to start, give me an idea of your background. Like, talk about, kind of what you do, and then, how did you get into the franchise world?
Yeah. So, for me, I happen to have an exercise science degree, and so I think physical education has always been a passion. Health and wellness has always been a passion. I think like a lot of people who've gone through certainly physical activity in their early childhood, I had a real passion for sports. I wouldn't say I ever excelled at any one particular sport. I think basketball was always my personal passion, but I was always very passionate about sports, and I learned a lot about creating healthy habits, a lot of my friendships, a lot of my personality traits, a lot of things that I got just as a person came through sports and team sports. And that led me down a path where I was in probably sporting goods or some sports related field for the better part of 20 years before I got into franchising. I was at Everlast, the boxing brand. I was at Mission Athlete Care, which is a startup. And then I was at the third largest licensing company in the world, managing their sports portfolio. And in all those scenarios, I learned a lot about business, a lot about the things and the cultures and things that I wanted kind of in life. But I found more than anything is that I wanted to do well and do good. And that's really what has led me to this serendipitous opportunity for myself and my partners and my team of Soccer Stars and Youth Athletes United. And essentially we acquired, when I say we, my partners and I, along with private equity, acquired an operating company in Soccer Stars and a franchise brand in Amazing Athletes in TGA. And it created this platform called Youth Athletes United. And so we've kind of learned our way through franchising. And that's been a lot of our journey. We knew that if we had some really smart people, some really great concepts, and a really great vision and mission, which we'll talk about, we could create something very special. And we've been doing it for about 5.5 years, and we're seeing some really, really great growth in what we're doing. Okay.
So you didn't start Soccer Stars. You found this company, and you partnered up and you acquired it and are now growing it.
I consider my partners and I true acquisition entrepreneurs, and I'd say what's really interesting when you think through it is we're franchisees like nobody else, even though we're technically franchisors. We put our own money in and we bet on ourselves to go build something bigger. And so we found some great franchise owned platforms, all founder run. We took over for the founders because they got to a certain point, a certain vision. And we really decided, could we bring all these things together with one vision? Create this space where every kid can be an athlete and they can have fun while learning the fundamentals of sport. And we were very fortunate to find 3 amazing founder-run brands that we took over and have really elevated and escalated and given all the resources to scale both for us and our franchisees.
Okay. And so what are the 3? So I'm familiar with Soccer Stars. And so what's the other 2 that I guess are part of the umbrella?
Yeah, so Soccer Stars, and then we own Amazing Athletes, which is a youth sports educational program. We predominantly teach multiple sports and skills within preschools and daycare channels. So it's been a really nice business that was already a franchise business when we acquired it. And then we also acquired TGA, Tennis, Golf, and Athletics, which is tennis, golf, now pickleball, and athletic sports. And so that's a really nice business that's age 6 through 12 is the predominant ages that we focus on. And in all of our platforms, our big focus, Brian, is education. Everything is class-based. So we're not in rec sports. We're not in team sports. We're about that first sport experience and giving both the kid and that parent those basic fundamentals so they get that physical literacy, those locomotor skills, that vestibular learning, all those opportunities to build on something so that they can create either healthy habits or they can actually create proficiency and have more fun and engagement when they decide to actually do that sport in a team setting.
Okay. And so that leads me, I guess, to the question and talk a little bit about the vision, kind of the mission. Obviously it seems that it's empowering kids, right? And being this platform for them.
Yeah, and listen, that vision and mission is really about first sport experience. And we always say there's a big opportunity, a big responsibility, right? If we can create a fun, engaging experience for that kid, oh my goodness, the way that they feel, the way they act, and the way they react towards sports, whether it's soccer or anything else that we teach, is so different. Whereas if it's a coach or an experience that they're not engaging, they're not fun, they're too serious, and it's a turnoff for the kid might say, listen, I tried soccer, I'm done. It wasn't a good experience. I don't want to do it again. And, so we take those things very seriously. And so we're really focused on the curriculum, the programming, and in everything we do, this vision it's a mobile business, right? So it's not brick and mortar, it's mobile. So our goal is to be where the customers are. So we'll go to preschools, we'll go to parks and recs, we'll go to HOAs, grass, wherever we can, so that we are within 15 to 20 minutes of the consumer. Or we're literally where the consumers are at their elementary school, their preschool, or wherever they may be, the golf course or the tennis court. And so we want to bring the programming, the product to them. But the vision is we want to impact 1 million kids through our platform positively through sports. We're probably a quarter of the way where we want to be on an annual basis. And, we want it to be just a really good experience for the kid, the consumer, and the franchisees to have a real opportunity to do well and do good in the space.
Yep. It's awesome. Yeah. So let's dive in a little bit to the business model. We can talk about Soccer Stars because that's the one I think I'm kind of the most familiar with. So you touched on a little bit. So it's 100% mobile. So kind of give me the high level, like what does it look like from an infrastructure standpoint, then like a marketing standpoint, and then might get into some details.
Yeah, so franchisee will come to our business. We've got a president of Soccer Stars. We have almost 30 people on staff that really help from marketing, from sales to operations. We have business success coaches that have been through one of our franchise brands, either Soccer Stars or Amazing Athletes or TGA, to help you onboard. So we have we're very, very resource heavy from an intellectual capital standpoint. And one interesting point, not to digress, is we've been doing this for almost 20 years before we started the franchise. So we had a lot of experience opening up territories all across the country, but a lot of successes, a lot of failures. And so as franchisees are coming on, we have the ability for them to accelerate pretty quickly. So they get a lot of that intellectual capital, whereas in a lot of franchise systems, you tend to have a founder or owners and it's very small operating territory. They're not very resource heavy. So that's a big part of what we do. And then we're giving you, we have our franchise fee, anywhere between $45,000 to $50,000. We have our protected territories of almost 400,000 population wise. And the reason being is we want to give people a lot of opportunity to impact the kids. Because again, it is that mobile business. And so we're talking about 2 to 6 year olds really is kind of the focus of the business. And for anyone that has kids, if you're not within 15 to 20 minutes of that customer, that kid, right? When that class, if they have to drive 30 minutes, it can be a disaster for the kid, the parent, the coach. So we have a really good model in terms of giving some real scale, really good unit economics, and really good opportunities for franchisees to impact a lot of kids through soccer, whether it's schools, parks and rec, working with soccer clubs, whatever it may be.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I have a 2 and a 6 year old, so I know exactly.
You're right in our sweet spot. Come on. It's phenomenal.
Right. Yeah. And so for that, so you get this territory. So I'm the franchisee, I get this territory, and then I'm going to go and set up these different classes, right, all over my territory. So parents don't have to drive more than whatever. Ideally, 10 minutes. Let's call it here in the Philly suburbs. And so so it's schools, it's I guess parks and recs, like open fields, like they go and find these spots to hold the locations, to hold the classes.
Yes, it's such a good question. So maybe again, because I missed one point, I apologize. So when you come on after confirmation day, we do 3.5 days of intense training here in Manhattan. We actually have one going on right as we speak. So we teach you about the product. We teach you how to sell the product. We teach you how to operate and market the product. So we really start out with a really good educational piece at the very beginning. And then we have a lot of virtual training that consistently goes on to train you through everything. When you're going and selling, we always say, be where the consumers are. So we always start in the educational part. We know that we have space, time, and opportunity to impact kids within schools. And what you find between preschools and elementary schools, number one, when you're talking about elementary schools, we tend to be aftercare, right? So if school ends at 3:00, Well, we're running a soccer class for 3 to 4 o'clock. That kid is getting a really good experience, he or she, the boy or girl, getting a really good experience on learning the fundamentals, having fun, and parents get an hour back of their life before they have to go pick up their child, right? So you find a lot of aftercare if that's during the week. If it's at preschools, you find a lot of opportunity where we're going into those schools, and oftentimes those teachers need a break, right? Those teachers who are teaching these 2s and 3s and 4s, they don't know how to teach soccer, right? That's not their expertise. That's our job. And so we go in, we give them time back, and we also give the kid an opportunity to really learn things within their school day. So they're getting both enriched, not just from an educational standpoint, but a physical standpoint. And then we find parks, recreation. So if you're in Philly suburbs, there happens to be a really good park or space. We're running what we call an open enrollment location. We're opening up 9 to 11, and we're having kids come to us, right? We're running classes, 45, 60-minute classes. You can run 2s and 3s, 4s and 5s, 5s and 6s from 9 to 11. And that becomes your weekend business, which is more than 50% of your revenue. And that tends to be what a lot of the business looks like. And we have other opportunities and other programs where we can really run our content. And I think the one misnomer that people often go through as they're going through this, Brian, is, again, we're not in rec sports. You don't need a soccer field, right? Give us 1,500 square feet of space and we can run a class, right? It can be indoors, it can be outdoors. It doesn't matter. It's made to be very concentrated, very focused on skill sets and basic fundamentals. So we don't need a lot of space, and it allows us to be where the consumer wants us to be.
Okay. Are you paying the school or the nursery for the space, or is it kind of like a benefit for them? So like, what's that relationship look like?
Yeah, and it can go both ways. There are times where the school's like, listen, we just, we love having you here. And so you taking that time off and coming in there, you take all the enrollment, take all the administration off our hands, and we're great. There's other schools where, they'll say, listen, for utilizing our space, pay us a percentage, a revenue share, or a flat fee, whatever it may be. And so a small percentage will go to the school. But again, it's pretty nominal because they want to make it an opportunity for you, not prohibitive, cost prohibitive for you actually to go in there. And ultimately, every school doesn't want to overcharge you, and we don't want to overcharge the kid, because we want to invest that money into the coach, right? We always want to put that money back into having high quality coaching. So the schools do it all in a very reasonable way. But yes, they get a share as well.
Okay, awesome. So how many like, in a single territory, how many like of these pop up or these locations will someone have? Like, is there a certain target you look for?
Yeah, so listen, we'd love to see people have anywhere between 50 locations is kind of the operating locations between schools and, having parks and rec. In terms of like these open field locations where they can really run classes that are have high density, a good time slot, on the weekends. We want to see anywhere between 3 to 5. And you're talking about a scale of, if you're doing really well and hitting, AAVs that we want to see you hit, you're probably having anywhere between 15 to 20 coaches. And the other big piece, Brian, is that we want owner operators in terms of, we want everybody to be able to coach. We want them to be able to understand the product, know the product, teach the product, and really drive the culture. But we always say, if you're coaching, you're not growing, right? If you're out there and you're coaching every single class, well, then you're limited, right? You can't go get another location. You can't run 50 locations. You can't train coaches, and you don't see what your coach quality and your product quality is behind you. So we really want people to have that executive level kind of ownership and viewpoint, not semi-absentee though. Again, we say that all the time. This is active income, not passive income. We want people who want to have a positive impact in their community. All right, so if you're in the Philly suburbs, we want you to be able to deal with your local chamber of commerce, your principals, your families, your parent groups, and we want you involved in that community and driving your business. And that you can't do that passively.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's this big misnomer that people are sold that it's like this passive investment, like you're buying real estate or something, and just to check, you have a manager and the checks come on the 15th. But in reality, it's not what it's like. Like, it takes work, and you got to build it, and you got to build a team. And as you build a team, like, you can hire better people who take off more responsibility, and then that's ultimately what can make it so that your time isn't correlated to your income. And that's like our business now. Like, I don't, I have a lot of freedom in mine, but it's because we built like a really good team around me. And so same with this business, right?
Yeah, I think you said it really well. And listen, the other advantage for us is, we've operated in about 12 states across the country, 12, 13 states. So we know what that scale looks like. And listen, I'm not spending all my time in every single one of those territories. We have really good management, really good regional managers who are doing it. But it took time to build to that point, to your point. But there is scale, there is revenue, there is opportunity. And so we're not asking you to do anything we haven't done ourselves. Right. We say that all the time. We're in the grind. We're in it every day. We want to feel it with our franchisees. Operating is very important to us. We'll always do it in some shape or form. But we've been through those experiences. So we're telling people this is how you do it, and it can be done.
Yep. Yeah. So can you speak a little bit to, I guess, the corporate? I know you guys have a number of corporate run locations. Can you speak to, I guess, what you have, some of the sales volume? I know you've got a pretty good detailed, item IT and your FDD.
Yeah, so through all of our operating territories, we do close to about $20 million across our operating territories. New York and LA are a good chunk of our biggest operating territories that we will always operate. Because again, we always want to be able to practice what we preach and kind of lead. There are several other territories that we're operating that we will look to re-franchise over time. Because again, we've got across our total system, we've got over 150 franchise owners. So every single person is important. We got to, you love all your children equally, and we want to give them all the time and attention. So you can't do that operating at scale and franchising at scale. So that's a real commitment we have to our franchisees and ourselves to have operational excellence in a few key markets and really focus on how do we have those franchisees just continue to grow and be successful.
Okay. And how many locations did you say?
So 13. Corporately, it's 13 territories is that we're operating in today.
Yep. Doing $20 million.
Yeah. And then on the franchising side, we've been franchising since October. We have close to 50 plus franchisees already signed. We'll be at 60 within a really short period of time. So we have a lot of new franchisees that have joined. Really, really exciting. It's coming really fast. And we're getting really solid quality owners. That's what I think has been really exciting for us. We've gone, through broker networks. We've had a phenomenal relationship with Franchise Fastlane. They're getting us amazing candidates. We're working with amazing partners like yourselves that are getting great candidates. And they're all people that start with one really important fundamental principle is they want to have a positive impact on their community through soccer, right? They all have that same quality. Everybody starts there, and then they want to be able to do well at the same time. And there's just not many opportunities where you get both of those things kind of coming together. And we don't need people who are soccer diehards, right? We're people who are passionate about soccer as the vehicle. It allows them to impact kids through sports, positively through soccer. And so it really becomes a vehicle. And we find some tremendous husband and wife teams that are coming in. Some people that have other franchise businesses that are coming in saying this layers really well, or I've been doing this and I'm really passionate, but I want something else that has, again, more of that do well, do good concept for themselves. So it's been a really good mix of the type of franchise owners that we're getting. And, you get to love what you do every day. And listen, it has the same challenges of everything you do. I mean, you are a franchise owner, more than anybody. There's no business that doesn't come out without its headaches. But if you feel good about what you're doing and you're leaving a positive impact on the world and you're really fighting, that good fight of getting kids at a young age actively involved in healthy habits in soccer and growing the game, you feel good. You feel really good.
Yep. It's awesome. So the average franchisee has roughly 3 territories then?
So in our new franchisees that we tend to sell, we have about 40% of the system are multi-unit owners. Anywhere between 1 to 2. We have a few people that are 3 units. And again, in our territories, you're getting 400,000 population.
That's pretty big.
It's big. In home services, that's a 2 or 3 pack in some scenarios, right? And so we try to make sure that people can really have big impact in the territories. People who are going to even bigger, whether it's 3s or 4s, whatever it may be, those are people who are coming in day one with management team.
Yep. Okay. And then what does someone need to have? You said does someone need to have knowledge to coach and to own it, and walk me through the industry kind of experience that someone needs?
They need to understand that they have to have a good sales mentality, right? They want to be that communitarian, and they can knock on doors, they can work with the community, and they can build their business. Right. So I always say you have to have that. If for some reason you don't have that, make sure that it's, whether it's your husband or wife or partner, that they have that skill, right? Because you definitely need somebody who can drive the sell-in piece of what this business is. And you want somebody who also is leading a culture, right? You want somebody who can wake up every day and sees the world as the glass is half full, not half empty, because you have to push your coaches, you have to push your team, you have to push anything. You're pushing this really positive culture. If you don't imbue the energy, well, how in the world is your coach going to go out there in that field and bring it every single day, right? And so you really need a lot of that type of personality trait. But you don't need to know youth sports. You don't need to know soccer. You don't need to know those things. You just really need to know your community, and you need to be able to be active in your community and have an impact.
Okay. What about the coaches? Like, what's the profile of the coach? How do you find them? Is it hard to find these guys and girls?
Yeah, and so, coach ages ranges all over the place. And again, some of the owners will do some coaching themselves. So we do a couple of things. One is we have an in-house recruiting platform that can source candidates for these franchisees as you're kind of learning your way through it, right? And we get our coaches through all the standard practices. We get them through Indeed, we get them through handshakecare.com, a lot of college fairs, a lot of those basic things. And then what starts to happen is once you get going, you start building a coaching database. You build your coaching culture, and referral tends to be a lot of where you see a lot of your coaches come from. If they believe in your community, they believe in what you're doing, well, they're getting their friends and their friends of friends to come into it. And so once you build that base, we do a lot to help you get those initial coaches. And again, these are people that we can teach somebody soccer. One of our best coaches in Manhattan, professional actor. He's amazing, but we teach him soccer, but he can connect to those kids and have fun engaging, because at this level, the soccer skills are not that challenging. And so you just want people who sometimes they're retired, sometimes they're young college students, but they want to have a positive impact on kids. And we've got all the curriculum digitized. We can teach you to teach a class in less than an hour. And I guarantee you it'd be fun, right? And so that part makes the recruiting piece much easier.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's a great benefit, and one of the things I've heard from other people who really like your model. Let's talk a little bit about that kind of the training. It seems like so you guys design all the curriculum and then I guess deliver it up digitally of like what to do, like the playbook they're going to follow, and the coaches and the franchisee. Yeah,
and so, we have a chief programs officer who's been with us almost 17 years and been building this program every single year better and better. And I think what's really important for what we focus on is ages and stages, right? If you put 8, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds all in one class, somebody is going to lose. The 5-year-old might be really skilled and the 3-year-old might be very dejected. The 5-year-old might say, well, I'm better than all these kids, and why don't I have other people that are playing at my level? Why do I have to be held back? And so it's really important that we've got ages and stages. Curriculum for as young as 18 months, Parent and Me, which is a wonderful curriculum just to get things going, to 1s, to 2s, to 2.5s. And we were very literal about those. And what it means is sometimes you have smaller classes. Sometimes your kid to coach ratio is a little smaller, but the kid's getting the attention, parents getting attention. And so we have curriculum built with all those pieces. Everything's digitized in a learning management system, and every coach is fed that for both through desktop and mobile, and a specific mobile app where the coaches get all of their weekly curriculum, both through videos and through PDFs. So they have exactly what they need to do every single week. So every single coach can replicate our product, and a franchisee can scale because they know that consistency is going to be there week to week.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I think one of the things you mentioned earlier in terms of like investing into the you call them the resources, but your corporate support team. I think that is like really important for especially new franchisors, and especially the fast growing ones is that back office, that back end support. Cause I see many that they're growing, but then they're selling franchise, which is great, but then they're not investing in their people, and they're not investing in the support, which is kind of really what the franchisees are buying into. And so I think it's good to hear, I guess, you in the philosophy of having the private equity behind you to probably forward invest and probably make some of these key hires probably before you probably actually need it, but that's what's best for the franchisee. Is that kind of the philosophy you guys are taking here?
100%. I mean, if you look at the tenure of the employees that are there, they're 10 plus years, 15 years. I mean, they believe in the system, and even after the acquisition, they stayed on because they believed in the vision of what we were going to be doing. So I think those things are really important. And listen, yes, it's great to have, we'll have 60 plus new franchise sales. It really is great, but it's kind of meaningless to us if we can't sell through, right? Collecting all those things mean nothing. If we don't make you successful as a franchisee, it's not even about the money. It's about the kids. If we're vision oriented, mission oriented, how many kids can we positively impact through soccer? And so if we're collecting your royalties and you're not getting overages and you're not successful, the kids lose. And that's literally what we wake up every day and we live and breathe. And so that's the culture we want. And if we're going to do that, we got to invest in the people. We got to invest in business success coaches. We got to invest in recruiting, all those things that allow you to be successful. And that we get equally as excited as the number of kids we impact as the number of franchisees and franchise owners who decide to be their own boss, invest in us, put their money in us and us investing back in them and making them business owners, running a soccer business, which they never thought they'd do in their wildest dreams, and being able to have an economic lifestyle and economic outcome that they just didn't think they could do and love what they do. That's what we get excited about. So we're absolutely about investing the franchisee in our intellectual capital.
Yeah, that's awesome. So who's your biggest competitor in the soccer camp space?
Yeah, listen, it's Soccer Shots. They're phenomenal. We know the owners really, really well, what they do. Listen, we didn't invent the sport of soccer. Whether we're number one, number two, we both do really, really good things. And so we talk a lot about, competition in the space. And the reality is there's not an incumbent number two kind of in that space. We are there both in unit volume and in revenue in the short period of time that we've been doing it. And listen, there'll be times where, we'll be able to get spaces because we do a good job, or they'll do a good job. But ultimately, if we're all the same vision, mission line, it's great, and tell me another industry where you don't have, 2 or 3 competitors in that space. Because again, there's just a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of kids and we can't all get to them. And so there's just, it's great. And they're a lovely business.
Yep. And is there space for both of you? That's some of the kickback I've gotten. I've had people kind of look at it, but say, oh, well, Soccer Shots or whatever has been in my market forever. And I don't know how I'm going to compete with, everybody knows them. Is that, has that happened? Do you go in these markets and can you compete with them? How do you overcome those objections in that point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. And so listen, what we always say is we go, below, at, and above. We have some really young age curriculum that we really focus at. Sometimes, there'll be times where, there's just an opportunity within a specific location that they're in, that we can also both be in together, or for some reason that franchise owner decided to not do a good job and we've got that opportunity. And then we have older age programming, which I think is a really big part for us. So we've got a player pathway of Soccer Stars United, where we're really taking kids ages 6 to 14 with calling pre-travel or more advanced curriculum. And that's been a really good extension for us, all the way up to travel teams from U5 all the way up to U12. So we have across the country, we have a total of about 40 different travel teams, predominantly in New York and Miami. So we think we have a really good pathway, but I think like anything, a really good Soccer Shots owner will do really well, but there's always going to be opportunity. And so when you come into our space, the first thing we do is we give you a full list of all your qualified locations. And we talk about parks and rec and elementary schools and preschools and all the different places you can be. And then we look at, all the different competitors, not just Soccer Shots, but anybody else that may be in that competitive set. And then we show them the total addressable market. And we've had zero people who have looked at it and said, listen, I can't be in there because of competition. They see the opportunity to get it. We have amazing franchise validation, especially from a lot of our new franchisees who are seeing that success. And so soccer's not new, but to have another company that can come in and provide really good technology, really good services, really good benefits, there's enough for everybody to have an impact. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what I like about, I'm in automotive, we're looking into getting some home services and, soccer, they're huge markets. Even like Midas, which a lot of people know, has 2% or some ridiculous number of aftermarket auto repair. The industries are so freaking big that one company can't service it all, and they're highly fragmented. There's tons of competitors, and you go in there and you can have your piece and they can have their piece, and the industries are so big that nobody even realizes. And I don't know the size of the youth soccer training, but it's also probably a growing industry, right? Where obviously everyone's hearing about the MLS, and I don't follow soccer, so don't kill me here. But the Miami guy and all the
Messi,
trend,
Messi.
I see it every day on Facebook how he's going to score 1 million goals, But anyway, so like soccer is kind of this thing where it's on the rise, like in even automotive, like it's a pretty stagnant industry. Like it's not really growing, but it's not really it's stagnant. Well, in your industry, like you're on the wave here. So the industry is only going to get bigger and create more demand. And so probably a really good opportunity kind of now as the US is really just starting to get into the sport that's the most popular in the world, or one of the most popular ones in the world, right?
Yeah, and we're definitely riding a good wave for soccer. And so you see Messi in Miami, which is just, it's so great for the sport and spectator, and just it brings some real awareness, to the casual fan, which is really, really good. We've got the World Cup, coming up here, the next couple of years. So that's a really big deal for us, especially coming off of one of the best World Cup years we've seen in a while. Obviously, where Messi and Argentina won. And even the Women's World Cup, even though they lost, think about how upset people were that they lost, how much what a following, and the passion to rebuild and not get knocked down in the 16th round. Like we want to get to the championship, and so I think there's a lot of desire. But the other piece, to just go back to like the total addressable market, let's be clear, we're first sport experience. You may never play soccer, you may never play rec soccer, you may never play it as an adult, but you're still going to come through our class because you want that first experience. And sometimes, part of what we do is babysitting, right? We're getting you activity for your kids. Your 2 and 6 are coming to us. We're just giving them fun and exercise for 45 minutes to an hour. So that's okay too. And it just changes the addressable market that you're looking at, where make sure that you're getting people that want to get their kids physically active. We don't have to worry about a basketball court. We don't have to worry about weather. We can be indoors, outdoors. So we have we can run 365. So that makes it a really big addressable market for us and for the consumers. But the consumers that do want them to learn those skills and figure out if they want soccer, we've got a great story of this young gentleman, Cameron Aceto, started at the age of 2 on the Upper West Side with Coach Michael, who's been with us for 19 years. 2 went through Soccer Stars, went through our travel program, Soccer Stars United, got recruited into the NYCFC Academy team at the time, and now is a starting center back at Duke, right? And started with classes and the fundamentals and had great experiences. And so it works, right? We can grow the game. So
he'll be a franchisee before you know it.
Before you know it, we can't wait for him to graduate, right? It'll be phenomenal for us.
It works. 2-year-old to franchisee. I don't think that could be a record.
It'd be amazing.
That's awesome. What's it cost to start one up?
Yeah, so around $49,500 is the franchise fee. We have probably about $15,000 to $20,000 of initial operating expenses between equipment, apparel, some of your business success fees and training fees and things like that. So we're within that $50,000 to $75,000 range. Again, low cost, easy startup, and our open rate tends to be less than 60 days. You're not buying a lot. You don't need to do a lot. You have no physical location. So once you get through training, our goal is within 60, 90 days. And sometimes it's happened even sooner. We had one franchisee who literally left training on the plane. We challenged, can anybody open an account? Literally closed 3 accounts on the phone on the way to the airport. So it can't happen because kids need classes and the market's there and people.
Yeah, and there's almost no equipment. There's like no real estate. Like it's, you find the school, you put the program together, you sign up the parents and like start collecting the money. Yeah. It's cool. Absolutely. I don't know. It's unique. There's very few that's the case and, serves like a high, and there's a high need for it too. And you're really doing good for the community. And I'm sure it becomes somewhat recurring. Like the kids have, the kids who like it stick, they tell their neighbors, like, I'm sure like there's chatter in the Facebook, like moms groups and stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of like inertia once you get going.
It's almost 60%, 70% word of mouth, right? You have a good class, good coach, friends of friends of friends. It's Facebook groups. It's reputation management is everything in location management, right? Being where the consumers are, because you're not there. It doesn't matter how much you love us. You're not driving more than 30, you're not driving 30 minutes to come to us, but reputation management is everything. And it totally feeds on itself 100%.
Yep. That's awesome. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I think you got a great business model here and excited to kind of watch you grow. And anybody listening wants to learn more, they can reach out to me through Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever, or reach out to Soccer Stars. Just let them know you heard about it here. So thanks again, Adam, for coming on.
Brian, really appreciate it. And thank you. And again, thanks for supporting the mission.
All right, you got it.
That's all we got for this episode with the Business with Beers podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is to rate the show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen. Also, make sure to link up with me on your preferred social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find all my links at brianbeers.com. Please just share the podcast with anyone who you think might enjoy it. And until next time, remember to take the actions others won't, to live the life that others don't.